with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So about NinjaOne, we've been around since 2013. So we're going on 11 years right now. We are well known in the industry for automating IT, making IT and MSP teams much more efficient. In fact, we have about 17,000 customers today, managing more than 7 million endpoints with a NinjaOne endpoint management platform. The folks who use us today, they love our simplicity. They like that we help them to augment their security posture and by giving them really deep control over their endpoints and visibility over those endpoints. And at the end of the day, we're really helping them to increase productivity, free up time for other things. So again, we're going on 11 years now. We're known for our time to value and our ease of use. One thing that really has been a benefit to us is our support team. Super smart, super responsive. I mean, the fact that we have free, unlimited onboarding, training, and ongoing support really, really shows you that we are here to make sure you're super successful with the NinjaOne platform. So you can see that we've got about a 30-minute average response time to answer questions. And I would invite you to look at NinjaOne on peer review sites such as G2, GitApp, Software Advice, Capterra. You can see the nice things our customers say about us. A lot of the stuff I just mentioned you'll see echoed in their reviews and the quotes they provide, et cetera. So we really are proud of what we do, and we hope that you'll learn a lot from us today and consider taking a closer look. So with that, I do want to go ahead and introduce one polling question here. We'd really love to know what MDM solution you are using today. So if you can just take a moment to answer that, that would be great. Appreciate your responses. Thank you so much. Great. We'll let some folks finish up there. In the meantime, I'll keep moving along. So one thing I wanted to tell you as well is a lot of customers, folks come to us, whether they're IT or MSP customers, they come to us. They've heard a lot of good things about us, but they're also looking to solve specific questions or problems. And I'd say the top things that we hear are, they're wanting to do more with less. So they're looking to consolidate the tech stack, and that's something we can do. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. They want to automate more things, right? They want to offload some of the manual tasks, free up time for other things, and really drive efficiency with their team. And as I mentioned earlier too, it's all about security. I mean, security is always a top priority for organizations, and we can help them to gain that deep visibility into all their endpoints now and give them the level of control they need over those endpoints to make sure that if it's a device that's accessing their network and resources, it's going to be compliant. If it's not compliant, we're going to take action to try to bring it back into compliance as soon as possible. So we offer that level of capability in a platform that's super easy to use. And that's, I think, a big value of NinjaOne. So how do we do this? For that, I'm going to pass it over to Jeff and let him tell you a little bit more about our platform.
Thank you very much, Matt. And Matt asked a great question, which is how are we able to accomplish all of this? You can see here some of the core features of NinjaOne that help make us so successful. The ability to patch both the operating system and third-party applications on workstations and servers, the ability to deploy the required applications, the ability to monitor and alert on issues, and of course, the almost requirement to be able to automate processes at scale, to take those smaller teams and be able to empower them to manage hundreds, if not thousands, of devices. And with NinjaOne MDM, we can now bring iOS and Android mobile devices under this same umbrella with workstations, with servers, network infrastructure, even other types of devices. And once we get to the demonstration portion, I think you'll see the value in this sort of consolidated view of all of your managed devices, and then how the policies within NinjaOne help maintain ongoing compliance over time, And that goes for whether you're onboarding new devices or reprovisioning existing devices. I think a very similar workflow to what you can see with workstations and servers, and as well as Android and iOS mobile devices, is as you have that blank device, it needs to be configured. It needs the applications. It needs the security configurations that are required for that device and that user to be able to operate and to be able to operate securely. Now, if we look on our next slide here, we'll see that we have some data from people who switched to NinjaOne. And it sort of shows what the other side looks like, switching from other tools, potentially disparate tools, many different tools, logging into many different portals. We can see that when people do switch over to NinjaOne, 82% are able to consolidate or retire multiple tools. 93% spend less time patching overall. That's something I can personally say I vouch for and am in favor of. I have spent a lot of time manually patching, and having that sort of centralized pane of glass to be able to manage all your patches at scale is incredibly valuable. And 2/3 say they spent drastically less time on repetitive manual tasks, not saving just a little bit of time, but close to 75%. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Matt to talk a little bit about MDM and why NinjaOne is entering this space, but I will be back later to talk a little bit about what we have currently with MDM and then to do a demonstration.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. So let's just talk mobile device management in general. So as Jeff was discussing, mobile device management allows you to do things that we've done on the NinjaOne platform for a long time, but allows you to have the control over these mobile devices, right? The devices that folks use today to support their workflows on the go, right? So Android, iOS, and iPad OS, smartphones through pads, et cetera. Why is it important? I mean, it's really just as you'd want to standardize your management for a Windows device or a Mac, you want to be able to standardize mobile device management for Android and iOS as well, because you need so many devices. You got to have an easy way to really, keep tabs on them, see what they are, see how they're configured, et cetera. But you also want to be able to easily deploy the applications and that you're going to be providing for various users based on their specific workflows. You want to be able to, create policies and enforce them, right? Easily, at scale. Security posture for mobile devices. Again, it's how can I reduce my attack surface, right? That's by having visibility over the devices, really good control over the configurations of those devices, being able to set restrictions to prevent certain things from happening, and for devices that fall out of compliance, being able to take mitigation actions such as a lost or stolen device, being able to lock it or wipe it, et cetera. So all of these things together really help to provide a better user experience as well, and ensuring these folks remain as productive as possible. What I want to do now real quick is go to another polling question. This is going to ask you a couple things. Which mobile device scenarios do you need to support today, as well as which mobile devices types do you need to support? We'd love to hear what your thoughts are there. Awesome. You guys are quick. Excellent. Thank you so much for that feedback. We appreciate it. Take your time. You can continue to answer. I'm going to move on to the next slide here. So now let's talk about why NinjaOne built MDM. And I think the first point is really important because I know that at NinjaOne, our roadmap truly is driven heavily by our customers. New features are prioritized heavily by what our customers are looking for, what are they asking for. I mean, if you go on our product board and enter an idea for a new feature, it's sort of like Reddit. You can see that the level of interest in that particular feature be voted up. And as things are voted up, that draws the attention of the folks who build those products. And in turn, typically it has a nice bearing on what features we prioritize and which ones we deliver fastest. Keep in mind, we are a cloud native solution. So our release cadences are very quick, and they're typically full of features. I mean, probably more than you'd even imagine at each release. So we have a really good cadence. But again, your feedback on features, those things that are most important to you, really does help set the tone for what's going to be prioritized by our product organization. Use of mobile devices in the workspace, right? And this is the expectation today. It's no longer like the exception. Like I don't think you're going to find anybody who's hired today who would not expect that at a minimum they're going to be able to check their work email on their mobile device. But it really goes beyond that now with specific applications that support their workflows, whether it's a company-owned device or BYOD. Why do we want to manage devices? Because obviously unmanaged mobile devices can certainly increase your attack surface. Mobile devices are a big target for those who wish to do harm. And so being able to make sure those devices are managed as closely as possible to help reduce that attack surface and the potential for vulnerabilities to be introduced is the way to go. And then finally, as we were saying, this is really a natural extension to our platform. Folks want to do less with more. They really want to minimize the number of solutions they have in their tech stack. They really want to take advantages of the simplicity that these solutions can bring to the table, because a lot of times you're working with folks who maybe are junior level technicians or don't have the level of expertise that some of your other team might have. So a single platform that's really easy to use or easy to learn, it offers a very quick time to proficiency to get a new hire person productive as possible. That's why we have NinjaOne, and just MDM is just a natural extension to that. More devices in one place. So now what I want to do is pass it back over to Jeff for a moment. He's going to talk about kind of our key capabilities today, as well as what's lined up next for delivery by the product team. So Jeff.
Thank you very much, Matt. And we will get to a demo in a few minutes where we'll actually see everything in motion, in action. But for now, I did want to address the current state of MDM to outline the functionality that's going to be possible with the 5.9 release, which is, I think, pretty much everywhere except the United States. It should go out to the United States Wednesday evening. Now, what we currently offer, MDM is going to support both supervised and unsupervised devices. This is also known as company-owned versus personally owned, or BYOD, bring your own device. Also, automated deployment is possible through zero-touch enrollment and Knox mobile enrollment on Android. And then on the iOS side, we also support automated device enrollment, making deployment very streamlined and easy. It can be set up so that devices in, let's say, Apple Business Manager, they can automatically be enrolled in NinjaOne MDM. And then as devices are, let's say, erased and reprovisioned, or as new devices are purchased and onboarded, they're sort of automatically flowing into the NinjaOne ecosystem, receiving all the settings that they need. Now, what are some of those settings? The same basic policy structure exists for MDM devices that any NinjaOne user is used to on the workstation and server side. The policy controls all the important settings that you care about. On workstations and servers, it might be patching, alerting, the ability to run scheduled automations. And then on the MDM side, it would be passcode and other functionality restrictions, what applications need to be deployed or what applications need to be blocked, as well as other security and network settings. Now, on Android, you would also get the additional capability of either single or multi-app kiosk mode if you wanted to take advantage of that. We can also control device functionality with restrictions. So device can be locked, a device can be wiped. We can reset the passcode. So a lot of control is already possible today with NinjaOne MDM, and I'm very excited to show you what that actually looks like once we jump into the demo. Now, I think, yep, on the right side there, now we can talk about what some of the future developments are. This is NinjaOne MDM's grand debut, but it doesn't mean that we're done. There are big plans for continued MDM development. And as Matt talked about, that roadmap is heavily driven by you, what features you want to see. So please, as you are looking at a NinjaOne MDM and using it, please make sure that you are passing feedback along to your account manager or to your salesperson. We absolutely want to take the people who are using MDM every day and use their feedback to build a better mousetrap. Now, some of the existing plans that we already have with MDM are starting off with location tracking. And this is development that is going to occur throughout the rest of this year and well into next year as well. Location tracking is currently in a closed beta state. Now, this is currently just showing in the closed beta the current location, and then you can go ahead and actually track the historical location as well. There are not currently geofencing capabilities. I would define this as somebody is gone from a certain geographic region for X amount of time. I want to take an automated action like wiping the device. We're not there yet, but we do have plans for that on our roadmap. Now, next line item down, a very exciting project is incorporating macOS MDM capabilities with the existing NinjaOne agent that we already offer for macOS devices. We expect that this is going to offer a lot of improvements across the board. Obviously, Apple has made MDM their sort of preferred management mechanism, so it will expand what we can already do with the existing NinjaOne macOS agent. We do hope to see a beta of this functionality later this year. And as a part of the beta process for iOS MDM, we did collect a lot of feedback saying that keeping firmware up to date was very important. That is another item that we do have planned for later this year. Then finally, I did want to speak directly to something I think I already saw inside of the Q&A, but that's on the nature of integrating multiple Apple Business Manager connections into NinjaOne. So currently today, we can integrate with one Apple Business Manager token, and that would be fine for most IT teams. I think you're using one single Apple Business Manager token. But if you're an MSP and you support many different clients, you might need to integrate one or more Apple Business Manager tokens. This is a need that we completely understand. The dev team is hard at work right now at making this a reality inside of Ninja. So we fully expect to see this be functionality that comes out in the coming months. And while we're on the topic of multiple Apple Business Manager tokens, I did want to pop in another poll question that would be very helpful for us, which is how many Apple Business Manager tokens are you using or would you need to use to efficiently manage all of your devices? And while that is being filled out, I'll go ahead and pass the mic back to Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. All right, so before we get to the demo today, I just want to talk a little bit more about why NinjaOne MDM specifically. Just have a few slides here, and then we'll be passing it over to Jeff again. So why NinjaOne MDM? I mean, for us and for a lot of our customers today, it's all about the ability to have all those devices in a single pane of glass. So it's from smartphones to servers, VMs, to networking devices, all in one place, complete asset inventory. Really, it's our story around the consolidation of tools to help reduce cost and overall complexity. And again, minimizing the number of vendors and contracts that you're having to deal with. Another reason for NinjaOne MDM is, I mean, it's just the ability to manage, support, and secure mobile devices because you really need to. If you have devices accessing your network that are not managed today, that's probably not a really good thing. So we want to give you the visibility and control over those devices that are not currently managed today. We want to give you the ability to really speed device enrollment and provisioning, making sure you can get those devices fully provisioned and in the hands of the users as quickly as possible, making sure they have what they need to be as productive as possible and as quickly as possible. The ability to create and enforce mobile device policies at scale, so you know what these devices should look like if they're going to be considered compliant for your organization, and then improving the device security with not only being able to set restrictions and configurations and stuff, but being able to take proactive mediation actions if a device should be lost or stolen or fall out of compliance. Another reason, it's because this platform is super powerful. And as I said earlier, it's easy to use and easy to learn. And if you go back and read any of our customer reviews, that's what you're going to find with NinjaOne. In any quotes, you're going to see, love how easy this is, saved us so much time. And with MDM, in our platform, it's no different. It's a very, very familiar experience, and you're going to see that as Jeff's in the platform in a minute. I also say that we do our best to make sure you are as successful and get as much out of our product as you possibly can. We are very customer centric, customer focused. So that includes unlimited free onboarding, training, ongoing support. Our support team has been #1 rated many times. They're super smart and super efficient and very responsive. So you have that going for you with NinjaOne as well. And as I said earlier too, our roadmap, customer driven, because we really want to do what you need us to do to make you as successful as possible. And then finally, end of the day, it's all about making sure your mobile device users are super productive. They have a good experience with these devices, and they're walking around with a device that's secure so as not to introduce any bad stuff into your environment. So supporting those devices remotely, obviously you need to do that. Provisioning with the applications they need, and just giving them an awesome work experience as they're on those mobile devices. So with that, it is time to take a look at NinjaOne MDM. So let me go ahead and stop sharing, and Jeff can take over.
Thank you very much, Matt. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see that right now. And so as we're looking at the NinjaOne dashboard, one thing that always stands out to me now that we have MDM is seeing the coexistence of mobile devices like iOS and Android devices in the same portal where I have workstations and servers. That is a mind-blown moment for me. I'm used to this being at least 3 different portals to see multiple devices of these types. So seeing it all in one, I think there's a clear value in having this sort of consolidated view. Um, Now, if we look at the individual organizations here, we can see we have different mobile devices, so 5 mobile devices inside this organization. I particularly like the global search bar at the very top. If I hit the / button on my keyboard, it'll open up my recent searches here. And again, I can see Windows devices and my Android tablet, my iPad here, and I can quickly get to those devices. I know this works great for if you need to search for the device name, but another cool feature I like is being able to search for the assigned user. So if I search for my own name here, I'm going to see devices where I am the assigned user, in addition to my own user profile inside of Ninja. So this is really handy, especially because now with MDM devices under a single umbrella, it becomes, I think, far more likely that you're going to have a user with multiple devices inside of the platform. So it, I think, is going to become all the more common to be looking for the user and not necessarily the device itself. Now we could click on this and this would take us directly to the device, but I did want to show off the devices menu over here on the left-hand side. Now this is really useful for identifying different types of devices. For example, I might want to see all of my Apple mobile devices here. And so here I can see all my devices. They're currently online, connected to Ninja. And then if I check the box here, I can get the option to run an action across all these devices. So I could go ahead and lock all these devices, or perhaps I wanted to erase all of them. Could clear the passcode, or maybe if an application needed to be deployed, I can go ahead in here and find a particular app. Let's just keep it generic and we'll use Outlook. And right there, I can see Microsoft Outlook. And if I needed to deploy this to these 5 devices that I've selected, that's very, very easy. Now I want to make a note here. This is an ad hoc software deployment. I'll definitely talk in a little bit about how we can make this a completely automated process so that as devices get added into NinjaOne MDM, they're automatically receiving all the settings they need, including the applications that should be installed, or perhaps an application that should be blocked or restricted from that device. Now with this, we could go ahead and actually save this. In fact, I've already created some of these saved searches, and it just lets you quickly load up this view very easily. So for example, here's all of my Android devices. Same ability to select all of them here and take actions. You can see here, locking the device, resetting the passcode, erasing the device entirely, trying to resync with my policies. And one benefit of this is you can then take these groups that we've created and they can factor into reporting. Now, I'm very lucky here in that all of my devices are healthy, but perhaps if I modified this search to instead look for devices that are unhealthy, can modify this here, I can then go ahead and actually save this as a recurring report. So every day, every week perhaps, I could go ahead and actually get an automated report showing me any devices, mobile devices that are currently in an unhealthy state, or perhaps any devices that hadn't connected to Ninja in a certain amount of time. This just gives you that reinforcement of when devices are perhaps not in compliance or otherwise in need of attention. Now let's go ahead and dive into an actual device. We'll use that global search bar at the top to find my tablet right here. Now, when we go into the device level here, we get some very useful information on the right because we see the logs, we see the activities, what has happened recently on this device. And you can see actually earlier today that I erased this tablet and then re-enrolled it inside of Ninja. And so any other actions that I would take if I was forcing a sync on the policies, if I was rebooting the device, I have an audit history, an audit trail of that. And you'll have that for at least 90 days. Now we also have the ability to go into the details tab here. And if we go into the details tab, we'll get information on the status of compliance here. We'll also get some security information. Do we have the PIN set or not? I do not have it set on this device, so I'm not very secure. If we go down a little bit further, we get some information that could be useful as a part of the troubleshooting process. So down here is the device in a supervised mode. What's the manufacturer, all the hardware information we might need, information on battery health, the serial number, the current memory usage right here. So all useful information as we are attempting to support end user devices. Now, we saw the play button earlier. This was the run box inside of the devices menu, and this just lets you take action on the device. So perhaps I have called up the help desk and I have said, hey, I forgot my passcode. I can't remember my PIN to get into my device. They can very easily find me by searching for me in the global search bar, come in here, and then they could go ahead and reset or clear my passcode. So it's very easy to find and then take action on devices from within NinjaOne. And now, of course, there's going to be some problems that can only be solved by seeing what the end user is actually going to see. People aren't always the best communicators at relaying what they see. I unfortunately know that firsthand. So we might need to actually see the screen. And so on this device here, I'm going to go ahead and initiate a Ninja remote session. And I'm actually, you might have heard the noise in my over my headset here. I'm holding an Android tablet in my other hand. And I've received a notification on the device saying, hey, a technician wants to access your machine. And so I'm going to go ahead and start that broadcast here. I'm authorizing it. And then I can go ahead and open up Ninja Remote right here. We'll start my broadcast. And then right here, hopefully this is showing on our screen. Let me make sure I actually shared my screen correctly. I did. So here we go. Now, right here, we can see what the end user is seeing. There is no control. We do have that roadmapped for Android. So eventually we will have the ability to control on Android. We can also view on iOS devices today, but my understanding is that's not really a supported pathway for iOS devices right now, that control over the screen. It's just not something they allow. So unless something changes, for right now, we do have plans to go ahead and bring out Android control. iOS currently, not sure that will be a reality, but in any case, both platforms you can absolutely view, and then the end user themselves, they can go ahead and navigate around on the screen. So you would need to go ahead and direct them. What do you need to see here? Maybe you'll open up the web browser. Hey, look, there's NinjaOne. So nice and snappy here, very quick and very responsive. With that, I'm going to go ahead and stop that broadcast and disconnect. And if we switch to an Apple device, you'll see the experience is very similar in terms of the view. So when we come in here and we see this device, the view is very akin to what we just saw on the Android side. And this is deliberate. We want this experience to feel very similar. There are going to be some slight differences between Android and iOS, and that just comes down to what the manufacturer or the developer in this case, Apple or Google, or I guess the device manufacturer as well, what they choose to allow on their devices. So there are going to be some slight differences here, but we've really tried to go ahead and give this a holistic experience to where you can easily manage Apple devices, Android devices in the same platform and not necessarily need to know all the intricacies of management for each individual operating system. Now, device configurations inside of NinjaOne are managed by policies. So let's go to the administration section on the left-hand side and then down to the policy section. Any NinjaOne user, I'm sure, is very familiar with this screen here. This is the agent policies, and so this would be for Windows, macOS, and Linux workstations and servers. We have that for network policies as well, so network devices we might be monitoring, virtual machines we might be monitoring, and mobile devices that we are monitoring. And so if we come in here, we'll see that we have Android and iOS as well as iPadOS policies. Let's go ahead and click into an Android policy. And on the left-hand side, you'll see why the policy is so critical to the operation of NinjaOne MDM. It controls all the important settings that you really care about when managing devices. Of course, the ability to set passcode restrictions. So we can go ahead and control the passcode on the device. Perhaps it needs to have a certain complexity. Perhaps if you fail entering the password a certain number of times, the device should be wiped. If we go down to the next menu option there, we'll see the restrictions. Now, the restrictions are controlling the functionality that's capable on the device. What is the end user able to do? And so it's really easy here to search for different types of restrictions. For example, the screen capture, I want to go ahead and disable that. And so I'll go ahead and select that option right there. And so now on any devices that are assigned to this policy, they're not going to be able to do anything with screen capture. Now let's go ahead and actually look at some other ones here. Can they adjust the volume? Are outgoing calls disabled? This is all defined by Google, and it's in their documentation for what you're able to manage via Android, and the exact same is applicable to iOS or through Apple. Now, this is setting functionality on the device, and we can also go ahead and define what applications are or should be deployed to the device, as well as what applications should be restricted from the device. So if we come in here, we could go ahead and find apps. We can find them from the Play Store, or if they were system apps, in this case, I'll find something from the Play Store here. Perhaps I want to find Dropbox. I can go ahead and select that and go ahead and make sure that that's added right here. Now, this is currently saying it's pre-installed, but maybe I actually want to restrict Dropbox. So in this case, I'll come in here, find the application, and go down and say I want to block it. I don't want that to be an application that is allowed on this device. Now, you saw some other options in there. We go actually in an edit here, but let's say we wanted to maybe not use Dropbox, but another application, and we wanted to go ahead and have it in kiosk mode. We can go ahead and use it so it's in single app kiosk mode, where you're only able to use that one particular application on that Android device. Now, we also have the ability to do a multi-app kiosk mode as well. So if you did want to go ahead and have a kiosk launcher where you can go ahead and select between a few various applications, that is absolutely possible on Android. Now, additionally, some applications, let's say Google here as an example, you might need to deploy a managed configuration. So this could depend on the particular application. Or it'll vary depending on the particular application, but you can go ahead and deploy settings for the managed configuration of your applications, in addition to making sure, of course, that they are deployed to begin with. Other settings in the Android policies would include proxy settings, as well as deploying Wi-Fi profiles or SSID profiles to devices to ensure that as soon as they boot up, they have the settings that they need to connect to their wireless network. We also have security settings here. So let's say we wanted to go ahead and control various security settings like camera being disabled, like screen capture being disabled, how long can the work profile be off. And then here we have the policy enforcement. So this is where we go ahead and take our settings and say, this is when you're violating these settings, you need to block the profile or the entire device after X number of days, and then wipe after X number of days. And this can apply to things like, everything that I'm showing right here. Now let's go ahead and back out of the Android policies and take a look at the iOS policies. Again, there are going to be some slight differences here, and that just comes down to the nature of how Apple and Google have separately decided to implement MDM. And so you can see the basics here. The core functionality is still in place, controlling your passcode settings and complexity, the restrictions, what functionality is allowed on the device. And unchecking it would, of course, disallow what you're capable of. So perhaps AirDrop is not something that should be permitted on any devices that are on this policy. other options here for deploying our applications. So here we have a little bit more. We can see that the menu for navigating all of this is very similar. Is it forced to be installed? Is it blocked entirely? And of course, the same ability to go ahead and configure your proxy settings, as well as adding in perhaps a Wi-Fi profile. Now, all of this right here, these policies, this all results in a workflow where devices get enrolled in NinjaOne MDM and they're automatically receiving all the settings that they need. Everything that we saw within policies that allows you to automate the deployment or perhaps even the reprovisioning of existing devices. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at how we integrate with some external services, namely the Android Enterprise right here. You can see the ability to integrate with our Android Enterprise or reset that connection here. And then right here, we have the ability to integrate with an Apple Business Manager account, the APNS, as well as the automated device enrollment here. This would be what allows you to have Apple Business Manager funnel devices into NinjaOne through the automated device enrollment. Now, as I said earlier, currently there's only the single token that can be integrated. Again, we are hard at work at making it so that you can integrate multiple tokens. We fully expect that to be out in the coming months here. And we have seen from some MSPs who are looking to dip their toe in the MDM waters, who take this either with their own internal devices or with a single customer who they need to provide MDM services to sort of start that transition. Obviously, it's going to take some time, and we fully expect in the coming months to be able to integrate multiple ABM tokens as well as Android Enterprise tokens. I know I'm harping on Apple Business Manager, but the same would apply for Android Enterprise, the ability to integrate multiple tokens to be able to manage your clients. We're very excited for that to be coming out here soon. Now, I did want to go ahead and talk a little bit about another feature, which is location tracking. Location tracking is in a closed beta today, but I did want to go ahead and show that off. So I'm going to go ahead and switch tabs now. This is going to be a device in a developer environment where we do have this location tracking enabled here. This is an iPad, and you can see that we have this additional tab that wasn't visible on my old portal. This is the location tracking tab. And if I go in here, I can go ahead and see where we currently are. And so you can see here on the left-hand side that we have historical information. So not just where the device currently is, but where the device has been historically. And you'll note here that there is an interval here. It looks like about 5 minutes. And so that is something that you can define within policies. You can also go ahead and request the location on demand if you wanted to, or you could clear the location history entirely. If we go into our settings here and take a look at our policy, I guess I'll go in here and look at our policy. You'll see this location tracking becomes a policy setting that's visible on the left-hand side inside of our policies. And we can go ahead and use balance mode versus high accuracy. And then we can go ahead and determine how frequently we want to poll the location and track that. Is it based off of time? Should it be every 5 minutes or something substantially longer? Or should it be based off of distance traveled? Keep in mind that some of these options here, the accuracy namely, this is going to potentially affect the battery life in the field. And with that, I think that concludes the demonstration portion. I see a lot of questions, so keep them coming. We will try to get to those, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot, Jeff. I think we do want to go ahead and toss up one more polling question right now, if you folks don't mind. As I said, we are on a very fast cadence for release cycles for MDM, and as well as our platform in general. Would love to know from your perspective, what features would be most important to you? What do you need in an MDM solution based on your current requirements? So you can choose one of these here, or you can, I think there's a short answer at the bottom if you'd like to. We'd love to get a sense for what you're looking for at this point. Thanks for doing that. Oh, content management. That's at our earlier session. That was a big one as well as the custom apps. So interesting. I'll let you folks keep completing that. I'll go ahead and move forward though while we're here. We've got about 15 minutes left, I believe. So let's just take a look at some next steps. Obviously, I think Jeff did a great job on the demo today. You might have some other questions or some other features you'd like to see or dig deeper into. I would highly suggest that you request a one-on-one demo with one of our product specialists. They also know this platform inside and out, and they can actually, walk you through the stuff that you really, really want to see that is truly a difference maker for you, as well as answer your technical questions on the fly. So I would recommend that if you'd like. Or you can go ahead and register for a free trial of NinjaOne MDM. It's fully functioning, and you can have it for, I believe, about 14 days to kind of test drive it. Or if you'd like to just kind of learn a little bit more about the NinjaOne MDM platform or solution on your own, do a little bit of reading, you can go to ninjaone.com/MDM and grab some information there. At this point, want to see if there's any remaining questions that you might have. That I think that we've seen quite a bit of traffic in the Q&A panel. And I think there's
Yeah.
been some questions that have flowed into the chat panel as well. So Jeff, and I know we have Josh working and behind the scenes here. If you guys want to chime in and answer any of these questions live, we still have a few minutes.
Yeah, I see a bunch of really good questions in the Q&A section, so I did want to take the opportunity to speak to some of them, as many as I can. We had a question, are macOS devices on the roadmap for MDM, and should that be the preference over traditional RMM for macOS? And I'll answer the first part of that question, which is yes, macOS devices are absolutely on the roadmap. We hope to have a beta of that functionality later this year. Now, to your second question, second part of your question, which is, should that be the preference over traditional RMM? I will say that Apple has become increasingly opinionated that their devices should be managed by MDM, and that appears to be the way forward that they want to utilize. That being said, we currently have an agent-based approach, and I think that there are some significant speed advantages that get offered by the agent-based approach. And one thing I'm really excited about is because NinjaOne already has the macOS agent, once we have macOS MDM, that's going to offer a combination of functionality that I really don't think is duplicated elsewhere. I think that's going to be somewhat of a unicorn. So I wouldn't necessarily say one should be a preference over the other. I think they're going to work very well in conjunction with each other once we launch that functionality. And again, fingers crossed for later this year. Some other questions here is remote control functionality for both Android and iOS devices. Remote viewing, absolutely. You can see both Android and iOS devices remote viewing wise. In terms of control, not today, but we do have plans to implement that with on the Android side because there is a pathway there. My understanding is it does require some buy-in from the manufacturers, so it's not a simple task. It will certainly be a process, but we do feel like there is a pathway forward for remote control on Android. On the iOS side, my understanding is Apple just doesn't really allow that. So I'd say for right now, remote control is probably not likely for iOS devices. I had a question from Nick here. I guess I'll go ahead and reshare my screen real quick, if that's okay with you, Matt. He just wanted to see the device view, so I figured I'd go ahead and share my screen again.
Okay. Oh, my bad.
No worries.
Good.
All right, so here is the Android device view here. We saw the logs on the right-hand side, the activities. In the middle, some really useful device information. In the details tab, even more specific and useful information. Up at the top, we have the ability to take security-based actions like locking the device or clearing the passcode. As a note here, I know I'm on an Android device, but I saw another question from William. Does passcode clear work with iPhone? It does work with iPhone. So that functionality we see here for clearing the passcode present on both iOS and Android devices, you can do it on both. Of course, we have the remote access icon here to initiate Ninja remote sessions. A quick note here, if you are not seeing that in your environment, I would recommend that you go to the organization. So we'd go to administration, organizations, and into an organization like right here. And inside, you should see this option right here. If you do not see that, please reach out to your account manager. They can help you out. Now let's go back in here and we'll take a quick look at the view for an iOS device. So this is an iPad here. You can see the view similar, almost identical to what we saw with an Android device. Keep in mind here, there's other Ninja-related functionality that we haven't touched on here that still applies to MDM devices. For example, we have the custom fields. So if you wanted to track owner information, contact information, you could absolutely have that visible within the NinjaOne portal through custom fields. We see the notes. So if you did need to leave a series of notes here about troubleshooting on the device, recent actions that have been taken, you can definitely do that. And then if you're a NinjaOne documentation user, you can also use related items here, perhaps passwords, credentials, specific checklist, or other articles that you might want to reference. So very useful on that side. Answer that one. Isaac had a question. Are the policy features being demonstrated, do they also work for Apple devices? Again, there are some slight differences here in what is available to be managed. You can see here on the left for iOS passcode, complexity and other restrictions, other settings, the restrictions themselves, which is going to control what's capable or what's possible for the end user to do on the device, the applications that we need to deploy, or potentially the applications we need to block, and then of course the proxy and Wi-Fi network settings. So those settings, I'd say parity, between Android and iOS. Now there are some additional functionality. There is some additional functionality that's only supported on Android because they have programmed it that way. They are the ones who have built that functionality, and so there are some slight differences. But again, I would say largely parity across the board for Android and iOS. Blake had a question. Any connection to Samsung Knox? We do support Samsung Knox Mobile Enrollment and Zero Touch Enrollment, but otherwise no connection. It would be through Android Enterprise. Question from Joseph here. How do you handle BYOD enrollments with your MDM platform, and what control functions are available for BYOD? So we do offer BYOD enrollment for devices. If we go to the plus sign in the top here, we can add a device, and we can go ahead and deploy a mobile device here. This is the same method that you would use for a workstation or a server to generate the appropriate installer. Now for Android, when we're trying to enroll a device, we do need to select an organization. That's going to be where the device is registered to. And then we do need to select a usage type. Now on Android, they support the concept of a work-owned device, a wholly owned device, what I would say is company-owned or supervised. And they also support the concept of a bring your own device. And now on Android, they silo the work data from the personal data. And so if you had a BYOD, you could go ahead and enroll that using the for personal and work usage type. And when they enroll, that silos the work data so that when a device is erased, for instance, it erases the work data without compromising the personal data that's already in place. Now on Apple, this works slightly differently because they don't have that silo between work and personal data built into the operating system. However, the concept of a supervised device versus an unsupervised device does still exist. It doesn't work quite the same as it does on Android, but it does have the concept of both supervised and unsupervised, or company owned versus personally owned. So that is equally supported through Android and iOS. In terms of the functionality differences, that might be a bit of a long conversation. There are some very minute differences there between what's possible, and I unfortunately do not have a complete list at the ready. And a question here, will we get access to a recording from today? I'll go ahead and say that yes, you absolutely will get a recording from today. This will be emailed out likely tomorrow. Now on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Matt, who I think has a special guest he is going to introduce, who is going to make an announcement.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is now time to announce our prize giveaway winner. And for that, I will JP online to do that.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on the webinar today. We're really excited about MDM, and we're so excited to see such a great turnout, especially for this time for where I'm at. But yes, as part of the usual NinjaOne webinar protocol, we are doing a little giveaway here at the end of the webinar. As you can see, some of the options that our lucky winner will have to choose from are an Xbox Series X, a PS5, a Steam Deck, or the AirPods Max. So if you're a gamer, this is definitely the prize selection for you. Now, I just need to find my winner here. If we could get some drums in the chat, little drum roll going. And the winner of today's giveaway is Terrence Ranney. So big congrats to Terrence.
Nice.
Hopefully I'm getting your last name correct. But you'll be receiving an email from me tomorrow with details on how to collect your prize. So keep an eye out for that. And thanks again, everyone. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, JP, and congrats to the winner. So we're at the point where, we have about 7 minutes left. We can continue to take your questions via, whether it's via chat or the Q&A panel is fine. But I also want to tell you, just remind you at the end of the session, if you could please just take a minute to answer our poll regarding the event in general. Helps us to, create better webinars down the road. So if you can do that before you leave today, that'd be great. But are there any remaining questions in chat, Jeff, or any in the Q&A panel? Noticed?
I'm looking through right now, seeing if there's anything that we can answer.
Yep.
Or that I haven't answered already.
Okay. JP, do you want to go ahead and post that poll, or is that an after the session poll?
I will go ahead and answer Nicholas's question real quick.
Oh,
He
okay.
said that he hadn't seen remote viewing for his Android managed device. What are the requirements to set it up? I would strongly recommend you check your organization settings to make sure that you can see an option there for Apple and Android mobile devices to have Ninja Remote enabled for them. And if you're not seeing that option there, definitely reach out to your account manager. They might have to turn on a feature flag in the background to enable that functionality for you. So if you are not seeing that, you are either in the United States instance and you don't have this functionality yet because it comes out Wednesday evening, or you are in perhaps in Europe or in Australia or in Canada and you have the functionality, but it hasn't been turned on yet. So I would just recommend reaching out to your account manager.
Okay. Anything else there, Jeff?
I did see one question here from Joel. Can you use Intune for MDM management, but still use Ninja for remote on the mobile device? No, I believe we do have to have the device enrolled in NinjaOne MDM in order to facilitate the remote control today. I'm not sure if that'll change down the line, but today, yes, you will need to be enrolled in NinjaOne MDM in order for that to work. We do intend to bring a Quick Connect, which is the ability to connect remotely to unmanaged devices. We offer that today with Windows and macOS devices, but we do have the intention to bring that out for mobile devices in the future. So that is planned, but today you will need to be enrolled in NinjaOne MDM to use NinjaOne Remote for mobile devices.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think I'm done.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Well, with that, I just want to say thanks again for being here today, folks. Really appreciate it. Hope you'll take us up on the offer of scheduling a custom demo or doing a free trial or just getting more information on MDM. We're super excited about it. It's only been out officially now for a couple of weeks. Hearing a lot of good things, a lot of adoption already. So yeah, as a reminder, this is recorded. The session's recorded, so you can get a copy of it. And any questions that we did not get to, whether in chat or Q&A, we've got them all. We're going to capture them all. We will get back to you with the answers to those as well. So with that, Jeff, Josh, JP, everybody, thank you for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Keep